Hey guys, welcome to the online training video for email marketing. I am Jaco Limburg and I am the product manager of automation. There's my email address, so if you need anything, you can just pop me an email and I'm happy to answer any questions. So what I'm hoping to achieve today really is just to make you understand where email fits into the entire big picture, how to actually use the system that we currently have got in place at Impul, and how to report and determine success of an email campaign. So a fundamental point has to be said. Email is absolutely not dead. It's still used today as an important means of communication. In fact, there's a stat that says 89% of marketers use this as their primary channel for lead generation. So emails play a massive role in not only inbound marketing, but marketing in general. Emails can be used in various ways in the inbound process. So you could use it for blast emails or once-off emails. You could use it for monthly newsletters. You could use it for lead nurturing. You could also use it for RSS feeds, etc., etc. But what you need to understand is it can only really kick in once you actually know the person. So once you identified an email address, then you're able to actually trigger all these wonderful things. So a form needs to be filled out, or you need to actually insert a database into the system so you've got an email address known. As you can see there, email actually fits in very nicely between the convert and close stage. So that is really what happens once you've identified the person you want to talk to. Okay, so creating an email in HubSpot starts with the template. By default, there'll be a few templates in your system already. So you simply just click the template of your choice and you give it a name. Always stick to a proper naming convention if you do that. So one thing I need to mention here is Impul's got a very good habit of only using plain text emails specifically for automation lead nurturing emails. The reason for this is it just looks more natural. It's got a very lower chance of being flagged as spam, etc. But this does not mean that you should only use text emails. You can use HTML emails, but this is largely dependent on your client requirements. So once you've decided, all right, I'm going to use this template, I gave it a name, then you actually delve into the editing tool of your email creation setup. You'll basically see there you need to choose a from name, you need to choose a from email address, and then very importantly you need to choose a subject. So the subject line must never be a question and it must always be concise and engaging. There's a clever little tip here that if you want to use a HubSpot owner for the from and from name and from email address, there's the steps you can take to use the HubSpot owner. All right, now we move on. So once you've set up your from sending, etc., etc., then you're going to actually delve into the content. Now, first of all, I need to say this. All strategists must have an allocated writer that will help write this copy. But it's important for the strategist to understand what the content must deliver, what the objectives are, and these are a few tips that will help you get more closely aligned with your content and delivering something excellent. So always remember, it has to be written from a first-person perspective. Use the personalization tokens available in HubSpot to personalize the email and increase the chance of greater impact. Always use captive and engaging content where possible. Keep the email short. This is extremely important. We set a benchmark of using about 3 paragraphs because there's a need or a goal or an objective per paragraph. So the first paragraph, remind them how you know them. So thank you, you've downloaded this guide, you've filled in this form, etc., etc. The second paragraph is what's the new thing you want to share with them? What's the value add that you want to give them in this email? The third paragraph then just takes them on to the next stage. So this will usually include your call to action, etc. So another tip here is always try to use a full URL in the email. This just keeps it natural and it keeps the facade of actually coming from a real person. Always include your standard email disclaimer that you'll set up at HubSpot onboarding or HubSpot creation. And then lastly, never think of it as just an email. This is a conversation that you're starting. So you're really just conversing about something interesting with this person. And if you keep that in mind, your emails will be good and it will have better impact. Devin Ross actually wrote a very good blog the other day, how to write the perfect sales email. So have a read. It's very, very good. All right, so now that we've got the content ready, let's have a look at the email settings. So from top to bottom, the internal name, this is the name of your email. Again, just remain consistent when it comes to naming conventions. This helps for indexing and searching in the long run. All right, the next bit is you have to select a campaign to your email. It has to be tied to a campaign. This is very important for measuring the success of a campaign, and in fact actually measuring the success of an email and how it plays part in the entire campaign objective. The next bit is in the email type. So by default, HubSpot will offer you a few email types like products and services, etc., etc. So what you need to do here is decide, are we going to use the default product types, or are we actually going to create new ones that's specific tailored for my client? Now, why is product type so important? When somebody unsubscribes or chooses to unsubscribe, you have to give them the option of only unsubscribing from that specific email type. Now, the thing is, you can have a variety of product types, and that person might be only interested in receiving products and service updates, but is not interested in receiving a monthly update from the CEO, etc., etc. So give them the option rather than just allow them to unsubscribe from all. This just keeps the engagement a little bit longer. So there's the steps you can take to actually just set up your product types. The web version is really applicable when you've got an HTML designed email. So there you'll make sure that your web version is enabled and people can actually view it on the web if their email client struggles to download the images, etc., etc. Okay, so now that we've got the settings sorted, let's have a look at the recipient side of things. So at the recipient window, you will choose your lists, and I'm assuming that you've got the list prepared beforehand, to whom you want to send this to. And here you'll just select your lists. What you can also do here is you can actually exclude certain lists or exclude individuals that you don't want this email to go to. It also has a nice little counter at the bottom to actually show you to how many people this list is going to go, or this email is going to go. And very importantly, it will do a real-time checkup of the validity of the email addresses in those lists. So if your list has 500 people, but it actually only does a count of 490, then you know there's 10 email addresses that is not valid and it won't be able to send to that. All right, next up. So now that we know who we're sending this to, let's have a look at testing the email, reviewing the email, etc. So the first element that you can do on the left-hand sidebar menu, you can choose to send a test email. Now this is very important to just look at the layout, etc., make sure that the positioning and spacing is appropriate, etc. So that thing is very important. You always must send a test email, and you can include, I think, up to 5 email addresses in that test email functionality. So maybe try to include your client in that test email as well. The next bit is a new feature that HubSpot introduced a few months ago, where you can actually preview what this email is going to look like in specific email clients. So you can choose to view it on a mobile device, you can choose to view it in Outlook 2013, 2010, even 2007 is there, and then you can also have a look at what it looks like on the free email address clients like Gmail or Outlook, etc. So this is a very cool tool. Choose the ones that are commonly used and have a look at what the preview will say. All right, then the next bit is optimizing your email. So through benchmarking and a collaboration of all HubSpot clients, they managed to actually deliver an automated suggested feature. So this feature will tell you what your email is lacking, where you can make changes, and if you go through this checklist and you literally go get everything into a green status, I think you're pretty safe, and your email will have the best chance of actually getting the user to the next stage or to get to the objective that you're trying to do. Okay, so now that we've tested, we've reviewed, and we're happy, now let's send it. So there's 3 sending settings, if you will. So depending on what email type you've got, the first one is an RSS feed that you can just publish. You choose daily, weekly, monthly, and you choose a time when this automated email must go out. Then your next one is a once-off or a blast email, where you can decide, I want to send this right now, or I want to schedule it for tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. or any time of your choosing. And the last email type is an email marked for automation. So here you will literally just save it to an attached workflow, etc. All right, so now that we've sent our email, let's have a look at what reporting dashboards are available to us to determine the success of that email or email campaign. So when you go to your email section in HubSpot, you can click on, before you click on all, you can have a look at everything. So it summarizes all emails. It will show you comparisons. You can actually drop down and filter by campaign, and it will actually show you a very interesting element there is called a customer churn section in that primary dashboard. Now, the customer churn section is really just real-time data of people unsubscribing on your emails. It will even tell you what email they're unsubscribing to, so you can make a mental note to just go recheck that email, make sure that it's not too spammy, not too salesy, and maybe make a few adjustments. But that feature is very, very cool, and you should actually use that every now and again. Then we drill down into the per email dashboard by simply clicking on all, looking at the list, finding the email that you just recently sent, and then it will bring up this wonderful kind of business intelligence dashboard that shows you drill down information about how your email has performed. It will show things like engagement, delivery, the contacts you potentially might have lost on those emails, etc. But this is very valuable information, and this is what you will use to benchmark and to actually make improvements on your next email, or even if this is an automated email, you can make ongoing changes. It actually also shows what device it was opened on, when was it opened, was it opened within the first 24 hours, was it opened in the first week, etc. And these kind of changes, or this insight, can make your changes a little bit easier. So if you see that somebody is getting it delivered, but it's not even opening, maybe make an adjustment on your subject line, because that's the first trigger for somebody that ignores your email at the end of the day. The other section here is the contact lost section. So just for your interest, there's 3 ways for a contact to be deemed ineligible in HubSpot. The first one is if they unsubscribe from that specific email type. The second one is if there was a hard bounce or a permanent failure on the email address. And then the last one is if they mark that email as spam, because then you've got a complainer, and this person will not want to receive any of your future emails because he deemed it once as spammy, now is basically deemed ineligible, and HubSpot will not try to send to him again. Alright, so in summary, about the reporting. So you can choose to report on the ad hoc sends, and I do encourage you to send your client reports on a once-off email, etc. Because look, at the end of the day, you still need to improve that facet of your marketing as well. But more importantly, the automation part of all emails needs to be reported on, and the data needs to be completed and collected into a marketing automation report that is done in week 3. This has to be sent to the client as well as myself for review. Alright guys, that's everything. What I need you to do now is go to the following URL, offers.mpool.com/academy email marketing, fill in your name, give your email address, and we'll send you an automated email that will give you a small task that you need to do for me within the next 24 hours if you have capacity. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll definitely